Hi everyone. Today is Thursday, May 11th, 2017. My name is Brian McInerney. I'm the hydrologist here at the National Weather Service in Salt Lake City. This is a spring snowmelt briefing specifically for Logan City and the Cache Valley for the spring months of 2017. So let's start and take a look at water supply for May. And this is the forecast that is expected to see the amount of water coming out of the mountains from April 1st through the end of July. So this is the volume of water. It doesn't talk about the peak flow, but I think the first thing we need to see is up near the Bear River drainage. It's 200% of average throughout the entire drainage. Logan City has about 205% forecasted coming out of the Logan River itself. And that's quite substantial, and it's got the highest flood potential of anywhere in the state. Other areas you can see are really quite high. This is good for water supply, but what we worry about is the flood threat from this volume of water. So when you look at where we've been so far, this graphic looks at cubic feet per second flow on the y-axis. A cubic foot is about the size of a basketball, and one of those rolling by you every second is a CFS, or cubic foot per second. Time is on the x-axis. The red horizontal line is the flood level when we have damage in Logan. The yellow line is when we have out of bank flows but nothing is damaged. And then if you look at kind of the peach blue area, that shaded area, that's where the river typically flows and over the years, the climatology of the river. And what this is showing us, it typically peaks at about the third week of May, right around 540 CFS. The green line is what happened in 2011 when we had a record-breaking volume of snow and runoff. And you can see we were above flood roughly for about a month, maybe a little longer. The blue line, the one that's kind of up and down, is the current level of the Logan River that we've been monitoring. And you can see it's been above 2011. Now what will happen is what's going to shake out from here through the end of June will be dependent on our temperatures and our precip. Here's 1983 in that same graphic, and you can see the sharp rise right about May 15th, that it went from about 310 CFS to about 1400 CFS, right in that range. And that dramatic rise was due to a 10-day period of above average temperatures that caused the river to spike up like that. The snowpack was actually smaller than 2011 and where we are today, but that rapid rise in temperature and the absence of any cloud cover really fueled a rapid snowmelt, and that's, you see that jump. When we look at snowpack, and this is as of the 9th, Bug Lake is located at about 7,950 feet, almost 8,000 feet, and it's on the east part of the Cache Valley. It's up in the mountains, and currently it's got 231%, and it's melting at about 1.3 inches per day. The navy line, that's pretty solid, is the average. The red line is 2011, and the teal line is 1983. So you can see we're melting ahead of 2011, but we're still not yet down to where we saw in 1983, yet we're melting earlier. When you look at Tony Grove Lake, this is up in the drainage of the Logan River itself. We're at 172% and melting at about 0.9 inches per day, and that's because this is a higher elevation site at 8,386 feet, and you can see we're really way above average. We're melting about a month late, and this could cause us some issues as we go. So the different scenarios, and this graph looks a little messy, but if you can focus your eyes on that blue area right there, that's the temperature on May 20th. That was right about average, and it was roughly below average for most of the month before that, the 2 weeks before it. And this was what happened in 1983, and the temperature rose roughly 20 to 25 degrees above average for 10 days straight, and that fueled the rapid rise. This is the scenario we worry about, and we've already seen rapid warm-ups in February and March. We don't want to see this warm-up. If you look at the red line that's kind of squiggling around, that is 2011, maybe 3 days of above, and then it went below for a day, above for a day, below for about 3 or 4 days. That's the scenario we're hoping for that will alleviate some of this flood threat. If you can get a few storms thrown in there and not that consecutive warming, we won't have the rapid melt. So here are the two scenarios associated with that temperature warming of 1983. That's the top graph, that rapid rise. We don't want to see that. And then you see an even bigger snowpack when the one below, but yet the temperatures were a little warm, a little cold, a little warm, a little cold. Yet the snowpack was so big, we were above flood stage for about a month during Logan and caused all sorts of problems. What we worry about is the snowpack we have right now. This is just below 2011 and 1983 spring weather. We don't want to see that. That'll cause us all sorts of issues. So when you see the current flows as of March 12th, we're going to hit flood stage or just touch it, and then there's a cold system going to come through, drop it back. This is the Bear River near Corinne, and this is just for reference. We had 2 flood events already during February and March, and it's been a right around bankful for this entire time. If you look at the South Fork of the Ogden River near Huntsville, close by, we've had 3 flood levels hit, and we've also got a flooding currently right now. And then as that cold comes through, that's going to knock off. This is just for reference. But when you look at the flood threat, this is what we see. And this graph looks a little busy, but if you look at this point right here, and then look at the red horizontal line, that's the flood level at about 1350 CFS, and then that other dotted line is the bankful. The forecast calls for a 90% chance, and this is the peak flows, meaning how high is the water going to get at any given time. There's a good probability, a 90% chance, we're going to hit about 1700 CFS, which is really quite high because that purple line right above that is the all-time record. We actually have a 75% chance we're going to exceed that. The most probable level at 50% is going to bring us to about 2200 CFS. And then we have an outside chance of 25%. We're going to see flows right around 2300 CFS, and then there's a 10% chance, and I don't think we're going to hit this, at about 2700 CFS. So you can see the forecast calls for much above flood, and even most of probability wise we're going to be above record flows on the Logan. This is the Blacksmith Fork, and we've got maybe a 10% chance of exceeding flood on the Blacksmith Fork, and that's associated with that rapid warm up for consecutive days. And then we look at the Little Bear, and we've got about a 25% chance of reaching flood stage on the Little Bear. So 25% chance on Little Bear, 10% chance on the Blacksmith Fork, but yet we've got over a 90% chance we're going to hit flood on the Logan. This is Little Cottonwood, just for reference, and you can see how we don't anticipate reaching even bankful with the Little Cottonwood, and that's thrown in for reference compared to how high everything is in the Cache Valley. So there you have it. This is Brian McInerney. I'm the hydrologist with the National Weather Service. There's my contact info. Give me a call if I can do anything for you. This briefing was given to the Logan City Council and also the Cache County Council on Tuesday, and they suggested I put this on YouTube and let the citizens listen to it. We'll be doing more of these as conditions evolve, but for the time being, that's where we're at, and hopefully we'll have a little warm, little cold, not that warm up, we'll see. Thank you again for listening.